Alright then, ladies and gents, so let's actually start with TAs for Kaspa. Alright, this is actually the second time I'm recording this video. The first time I realized that the microphone was off. But anyways guys, I hope that you appreciate these updates, and of course remember about smashing the like. Please help me out with that. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and remember that this video is not financial advice. And now, ladies and gents, I have cleared out the chart for Kaspa. I like to do it every now and then in order to kind of maintain, let's say, sanity and avoid boredom, okay? But I actually have noticed something in here on the chart, right? So, before we've been basically having this situation with Kaspa. Well, we kind of still have it, right? But we were basically in this upward channel for Kaspa, and we had so much of scarcity because Kaspa obviously dipped, right? There was the deviation or manipulation, whatever we want to call it, towards the downside. Then Kaspa obviously pumped, and now we have the similar situation, right? So when I have basically cleared out my chart, I have realized about one thing, is that Kaspa potentially is printing now a slightly different pattern. Okay, so let me actually go this way, and if I'm going to, let's say, ignore these two highs in here, let me actually get out of this. If I'm going to ignore these two highs and, let's say, draw this trend line from here roughly, right, touching, let's say, roughly this wick in here, we can potentially argue that Kaspa is doing something like well, kind of triangle, which is obviously a bullish pattern in this particular case, or potentially some kind of formation of a falling wedge. Okay, nonetheless, I believe that Kaspa is obviously in search of liquidity, just like obviously the whole crypto market cap. Nonetheless, what we can potentially see in coming weeks, for Kaspa is this, right? And then potentially proper squeeze and then boom, right? But that's obviously longer time frame. Okay, now actually let's have a look at Fibonacci extension, right? I do like to draw these Fibonacci extensions every now and then, and let's refresh our potential targets, let's say, right? So I'm going to do it from this time when Kaspa basically started pumping up to all-time highs for Kaspa and the lowest point, okay, in recent times. All right, so what basically we are dealing with at the moment is that well, obviously we got rejection from slightly 0.618 extension zone, and if we are going to, let's say, exhaust this whole move, we could expect Kaspa at 74. Okay, of course guys, remember that nothing in this video is financial advice. All right, Fibonacci extension is not set in stone and this is going to be max, but we could potentially expect Kaspa reaching these levels, and after that, well, obviously we are going to reevaluate, right? However, taking profits at, let's say, 32 cents will be a good idea, although it's not financial advice. 46 cents. And why I always do it below? Well, because everybody is basically trying to withdraw Kaspa or whatever asset at these even numbers and these very obvious numbers of extension, right? So that's that, right? Now guys, let's cover a little bit of a short time frame for Kaspa, right? Because that was obviously that trajectory that I was mentioning about long term, and now short term. What's going on if it comes to short term for Kaspa? Well, short term for Kaspa, at least on 4 hourly, we will have to expect Kaspa basically well, smashing through this downtrend. Okay, funny enough is that if I'm going to draw this in here, we could roughly argue that we have so many confirmations for this trend line basically, which I believe is valid. Of course, maybe in here it's not so perfect, right? Although we have some touches, right? Nonetheless, we've got one confirmation in this area, not mentioning of confirmation of a support and previous resistance, in fact, in here. Well, there you go, here, and now this is what's going on, right? So guys, it would be very nice to see if Kaspa is going to, well, obviously break above this descending triangle basically, right? So guys, I don't know when exactly that's going to happen, right? But obviously we do have to wait, right? It's not only Kaspa that is suffering, but many other projects as well, at least at the time of recording this video, right? So guys, we are going to come back to Kaspa and charts, but firstly, let's have a look at the dashboard, because we have a little bit of a bullish news, let's say. I know you're probably laughing out there, but we are sitting at number 46 46 instead of number 47. So a little bit of a change, positive change for Kaspa. Volume is sitting at 108, well, 108.5 million USD. And if it comes to the price, well, we have only 2% of a pump in the last 24 hours. Now, ladies and gents, let's point something important out, something that Quantine is trying to let us know about. So, important news for Europeans. A lot of USDT FUD are going around. So here is the reality. USDT is not becoming illegal in Europe on December 30th, 2024. MICA rules will require compliance, but there is a 6 to 18 month transition period for providers. Some exchanges are delisting early Coinbase. Others are waiting for clarity. USDT might be the better MICA compliant stablecoin option, but there is no clarity still. So guys, that potentially could be a FUD, you know, basically before the parabolic run. And that actually brings me to my BTC's chart, right? Let me actually zoom this thing out a little bit. And you probably remember, if you follow, that I have asked this question, right? What can fuck our altcoin season this time, right? Just like obviously C19 last time, we had a big dive, and after that we had a big pump, obviously, for Bitcoin and overall market. And the question is, what can potentially F things up during this cycle, guys, right? I'm not saying that this is going to be it, but you know, potentially, right? Nonetheless, even if it will, it's going to be short term, guys. I don't give a damn, to being honest with you. I'm holding my crypto because I know what's going to happen, right? But anyways, we've got Mr. Prof pointing this out, right? Remember, this is macro chart, and this is total crypto market cap that is excluding BTC on a monthly. So basically, El Crypto Prof is saying that the most bullish cross for altcoins happened a few weeks ago, and take a look at 2021 to get a feel for what can happen afterwards. So guys, let's have a look, right? We had this cross, right? Meaning that this blue line went above the orange one, and after that we basically saw a huge parabolic cycle for altcoins. And this is where we are at the moment, all right? So we could truly be at the verge of something, you know, really big. But anyways, let's have a look now, because we've got this posted by Mr. Mister. He says that Q4 has been nice for Bitcoin, but Q1 will be insane and we should be prepared. So in December 2023, basically BTC run into these new local all-time highs, whatever, and then we had pump, consolidation, sideways price action, well, lower lows, at least looking at this chart, and then, you know, basically a pump, further pump, and then boom, right? And after that, proper reversal, and basically BTC saw a huge run towards the upside, right? That was basically entering this huge bear flag formation, and this is where we are at the moment, December 2024. So I'm not saying that this is going to happen 100% only because it did 1 year ago, but you know, it's very likely. Obviously, these patterns are, you know, repetitive. Anyways, guys, if you want to keep your Kaspa safe, but not only Kaspa, most importantly, because, you know, Tangem supports many different coins, make sure that you actually check out Tangem Wallet, because it's definitely a much safer way to store your crypto outside of exchanges on which, well, heck, anything might happen. And with my discount code, you can get minus 20% off, and you can find the link in the description below this video. And you can also actually register with Bybit. They got huge rewards, and BitChinex. These are two trustworthy exchanges that I personally trust. Anyways, let's move, because we've got this chart that is actually posted about Kaspa by Mr. Anarcho. So that's weekly, and he says that soon he closed short position. So get ready, guys. We will enter in small boring consolidation zone. Who will be patient will be awarded, right? And of course, guys, I'm not saying that only because, you know, some random dude on X closed his short position will have to, you know, pump, but you know, it's very likely that we are going to see a little bit of a more boredom, right, towards, let's say, 20th of January, and after, you know, inauguration, I think everything should rally towards the upside. But of course, we can see some deviations towards the downside, very quick ones, and then probably you know, we are going to see some rally. But now he's got some targets for Kaspa and let's say 140, 150. Okay, so please, guys, don't be greedy this cycle, at least. But again, it all depends on when you have entered Kaspa, with what amount of money, what are your expectations, and so on and so forth, right? So of course, I cannot tell you when to take profits, but make sure that you don't lose money. And Mr. Moral Balance is saying that this is going to be the final support level, and let Kaspa continue its journey strong. Target is 18 cents 9 and beyond, next 85 cents, and ultimately $3.50 for Kaspa. Well, guys, possible, right? Only because I've showed you this chart that is basically pointing out, you know, this level doesn't mean that Kaspa cannot achieve $3, right? Of course it's possible, but again, guys, you have to, you know, take your profits along the way. Anyways, let's have a quick look at ETFs, guys, because we've got outflows as of yesterday, 287 million, well, 8 actually, of outflows for BTC. However, BlackRock was bullish on Bitcoin, right? They were buying the dip, right? It's basically most of other parties that are selling, but who cares about these guys, at least, you know, for today. And now looking at Ethereum, guys, well, very interesting thing is that, you know, we've got positive inflows for Ethereum. So, you know, we are perhaps experiencing that transition towards altcoin season, which is definitely a bullish thing, right? We want to see, you know, Ethereum pumping. And yes, maybe Ethereum is not going to print huge gains this cycle if you're a small investor. Nonetheless, in terms of market cap and that, you know, initial injection of capital into, you know, altcoin, which Ethereum still is and will be, right? That's going to spike that rally for smaller caps, right? Which is Kaspa, your Ondo, and, you know, many other projects, obviously. Anyways, ladies and gents, let's have a look at liquidity for BTC first, and then obviously we are going to have a look at Kaspa. So Binance on a daily for BTC. So now everybody is shorting BTC. We've got 663.8 million worth of shorts versus 470.4 million. So based on this, at least, you know, the price should be pushed towards the downside because usually people are wrong. Okay, now looking at 7 daily for BTC, the scenario is still short, right? So that means that obviously everybody's shorting. That kind of gives fuel for BTC to go towards the upside, right? But we are still basically in the range of the liquidity, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if BTC would dip to levels of 93,230 to be exact, grab the liquidity, and then potentially, you know, gear up towards the upside, right? Nobody really knows when this is going to happen, but obviously these liquidity blocks are definitely helping us out, right? Because at some point this liquidity is going to have to be grabbed, right? So let's have a look at the weekly perspective for BTC, and don't worry, we are going to look at Kaspa. So this is what I'm saying, guys, potentially grab of this liquidity in here at level of, let's say, even 92k, whatever, and then probably gearing up towards the upside, right? We still have a couple of days of this year. I believe that people are obviously not that interested into crypto. Many people went for a holiday because obviously it's a big kind of you know, time in a year. People are not really looking at the chart and not trading, and, you know, we are basically in search of the liquidity. Nonetheless, let's have a look at Kaspa now. So Kaspa, Binance. So more people are actually longing Kaspa now on a daily at least. However, that's almost even. And now looking at all of the exchanges on 7 daily for our beloved Kaspa, the bullish thing is that everybody is shorting. And when everybody is shorting, well, everybody usually is getting wrecked. Okay, so we've got 10.7 million worth of shorts versus 4.9 million. Okay, so that's basically double, okay, over double. So now let's have a look at the heat map, guys. Let's put Kaspa Binance on a weekly. Actually, since I've got this weekly in here, let's quickly have a look at weekly. So looking at the weekly time frame, guys, from the standpoint of liquidity, at least of that heat map, we can clearly assume that Kaspa will at least reach levels of 12 cents 5, and obviously we are going to go from there if it comes to weekly. Now let's have a look at 12 hourly for our beloved Kaspa, guys, right? So let's argue that well, the price currently, it's definitely much closer to block of liquidity at 11 cents 6, and I believe that it's going to travel there. Since it already did in past, why wouldn't it do it again, right? So guys, what I would expect is shorter pullback, you know, for Kaspa on a daily to, let's say, level of 11 cents 5, and then potentially grabbing that liquidity at 12 cents 1, which could be a good scalp trade, you know, based on the liquidity. All right, at some point, again, this liquidity will have to be grabbed anyways. So guys, BTC's dominance on a weekly time frame, this candle is still white, and obviously in your particular case is probably red, right? But that's obviously all right. Now, looking at 4 hourly, what's going on is that we can argue that this, you know, pattern of the bear flag is actually playing out, which obviously is a very good thing. But we, of course, would like to see more downside. We at least would like to see the dip to levels of 57% in order to kind of, you know, reclaim of where, you know, we were with our altcoins, and that's going to be a drop of well, not really that much, just a 1% to be exact for dominance, right? So guys, it's funny because dominance is basically, you know, dipping now, and you know, it's basically creating lower lows, right? As you can clearly see, right? We've got low in here, bang, 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 and bang, right? Which is a downtrend, which obviously means that this is a very bullish trajectory, right? So now guys, let's have a look at USDT dominance, because unfortunately this thing is going, you know, in sideways direction, right? We can potentially argue that on 4 hourly we had this exit out of this falling wedge pattern, let's say. However, there is a strong level of resistance in here at 4.37 because we got rejected. I mean, USDT dominance, based on technicals at least, got rejected a couple of times from this level. So hopefully this is going to result in more of a downward momentum. Now stochastic RSI, at least on 4 hourly, is showing us that this thing might gonna drop actually, and you know, we've got such let's say curving momentum towards the downside if it comes to MACD, but that doesn't really convince me. So let's have a look at the daily time frame, guys. The daily time frame is showing us such scenario. The question is that momentum for MACD going to let's say go towards the upside or downside, right? RSI is basically showing us that we might reach this level of previous highs again, but if we will again, I believe that we are going to see significant drop, right? Because very rarely in the history, at least on a daily, looking at that RSI, you know, USDT dominance basically went above it, if at all, right? So probably a little bit of a more push, a little bit of a more squeeze and pain for altcoins, and then push towards the downside, which is going to obviously result in altcoins, you know, pumping. But worrying thing on a weekly is that we are experiencing the stochastic RSI gearing towards the upside, which obviously is not juicy, all right? So what's happening at the moment if it comes to MACD, I don't want to say it, but this thing might potentially create a bullish momentum on a weekly, right? So that's going to be more pain for longer, right? But again, guys, these are just technicals, right? We do have to wait for this white candle to actually stay white and close on Sunday, and after that we are obviously going to reevaluate, right? And now looking at others, which is basically our beloved Kaspa, right? Many people are shaking, but we can potentially argue, guys, that this is just a retest, right? Because let me just zoom it out a little bit, and we can clearly see that you know, we had this let's say wedge formation. If I'm going to move these trend lines, let's say in here, we can potentially argue that this was just a falling wedge formation, something like this again, right? And we had this exit out of it, right? But we reached all-time highs in here, and at the moment we are just experiencing this retest in here, right? Because obviously these late buyers were leveraging crypto and all of this, so they have to be obviously punished for that, right? So guys, until this candle is basically yellow, okay, on a weekly, and it's not trading below this red line, I am remaining bullish, okay, long term. And also MACD potentially can show us some reversal in here towards the downside. So the question is, are we going to see potentially you know, quick deviation again in here? I don't want to say it, but these are obviously technicals, right? It's definitely possible, right? But even if that is going to happen, I'm not going to, you know, let them shake me out of this market, guys, because, you know, looking at zoomed out perspective, you see what's going on, right? This is where we are roughly in here with our altcoins, okay? What haven't happened yet is this parabolic run for altcoins, okay? And I believe that's going to happen probably after Mr. Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated, okay? Ladies and gents, I hope that this helps. And as always, peace and love crypto, and Happy New Year.